Hey everyone, Biscuit here. I'm gonna go through the E3 gameplay trailer for KH3 that you've all probably seen already and kind of like analyze it slowly as we go through it to kind of give you, I guess, my opinion and observations that other people probably already pointed out in their own videos, but I was asked to do this by a bunch of people, so I figured you guys would be somewhat interested in what I think about it, being like an avid 2FM player that I am. So, this is live, not scripted or anything. I basically like wrote down some small notes, I guess, for some clips so I don't forget anything, I guess, because I didn't script this or anything. So we're gonna go over this pretty slowly, but hopefully not long. So let's go right into it, I guess. So we're gonna go right to where the gameplay starts, I guess. We're gonna skip the story because that doesn't really matter in this video. They didn't really show anything. So let's go over the HUD first, I suppose. It's, for the most part, static the whole video. We have the command deck over here, or sorry, whatever it's called. It doesn't move at all. It's probably just a placeholder, and nothing is selected. You have attack, magic item, and that should be summon. Interesting that summons the fourth one. It makes me wonder if they're gonna have like a secondary panel like KH2. I like that they kind of did away with the command deck system though, so that'll be, it's nice, because that brings me to my next point. We have MP bar again, just like KH2. So, magic will be tied to this most likely, as well as potentially limits, if they exist, which it looks like they do. Not sure about, they also brought back the drive gauge here, so it has a number tied to it, likely increasable. So that'll be interesting to see what's tied to this exactly. HP is the same as always, nothing surprising about that. You have your party members just like KH2 with their bars. So that pretty much covers the HUD. We don't really see anything else appear on the sides or anything, so let's go back to the actual gameplay now. So the very first thing you see in the trailer is platforming right there. Platforming there, and then you see some fights. So let's slowly go over the platforming. It looks, unfortunately, kind of automated. Like, I like that though. That looked like really fast. There was no slow ledge grabbing or anything. That's cool. Stuff like this, that's definitely looks automated, because there's no way it looked like there was any player intervention with making it across that. It looks like you could have just held forward for all we know, or maybe you have to press a button to do it. I don't know. We'll see. If it's completely automated, it makes me wonder. Like, let's go back to the part where you jumped right there. What's to stop you from just manually high jumping over these, basically, or if a glide exists in the game, gliding over it? Like, what's the benefit of that? Is that necessary? Like, well, we'll see. I don't want to overanalyze the platforming, but there's other parts of the trailer. Like right here, you're gonna see some more auto platforming like that. That is probably automatic. Same thing with here. Like, the jumps make me, it reminds me of Final Fantasy 13 with the auto platforming, and that worries me a bit, but you know, it could be really cool if they pull it off properly either way. It's nice to have some level of like swag platforming, I suppose. Okay. Now we'll go back to non-platforming, I suppose. We have new enemies shown to us right away, and they basically look like Dark Ball water enemies. So some speedrunner kind of looked, I think, a little bit too much into this, and I think what they intended to show you in this trailer, and this is why they show it pretty like extensively compared to most other enemies, they wanted to show you that, I would believe that they wanted to say, to kind of like convey, I guess, that these enemies, you don't just button mash to kill them. You see, this one doesn't have a bubble shield, right? This one does, that one does, that one does. Sora goes to attack this one that he's auto-locked onto, and it disappears. It didn't look like it died or anything, it disappeared. Quite clearly, that's what it looked like to me. I think what they're trying to convey to you here is that the enemies, when they have their bubble shields up, they cannot be attacked with a physical combo, at least. Which shows that there could be complex strats with enemies, which is kind of interesting, as opposed to, you know, some other Kingdom Hearts where you would just kind of like button mash your way through them or something. So, right here, they kind of contradict what you just saw, I suppose. Well, that's probably not the proper term, because they kind of just show you an alternate way to fight them. And it looks like some kind of fire attack. We don't know exactly what it is. It looks cool. Sora's flying around doing it. It looks like something like that probably dispels their bubble shield for all we know, and that opens them up to get attacked safely, right? So that they can't teleport away, most likely. We don't have proof of this, but that looks like what they're trying to tell you. Like, look, right there. That enemy got knocked right out of his bubble shield. Let me slow it down a bit more, because another interesting thing happens right after that. And this was that might be too slow. This was overanalyzed, I guess, by some speedrunner, but basically, I think they're trying to show you like an enemy attack, I guess. We have the rain cloud here. We don't know what it does. I don't think it makes Sora whiff more like some people think. Let's see, that one puts its shield up and then disappears. Probably because Sora was close enough in proximity to trigger it, for all we know. We don't know. This doesn't seem to do any damage. It could be a status ailment of some kind. That'd be interesting if they had attacks like that. Kind of like make a return and actually be something to worry about. Because like it actually carries over into this scene too. And like I said, we don't really see what it's doing. As far as I can tell, I could be missing something. Right here, something to kind of like further the theory about the bubble shields. This one doesn't have a bubble shield, right? So Sora's auto-locked onto it, and he's kind of like just going ham on it. And you see these little graphics, basically just like other KHs where you strike an enemy and it, whatever Keyblade you're using kind of like emits graphics, or probably a better term, but whenever you strike an enemy successfully. Like, for example, Decisive Pumpkin will have like tiny little pumpkins popping out when you successfully hit enemies. So that means Sora successfully physically attacked this enemy. And he didn't have a shield up, right? So right there, he kind of just gets attacked multiple times. So I don't know, I really don't know what this rain cloud's doing to really impede Sora. Maybe it makes him slower or something, I don't know. He casts fire there, or supposedly. So that was pretty cool to see them show that pretty extensively. That was a pretty sizable part of the trailer. Here, I don't know why they didn't show him running up this, but it probably would have been more auto running, I guess. And it's showing that Sora kind of interacts with his environment. Unfortunately, once again, looks automatic, but it looks kind of neat to see what they might try to implement with the objects around him. Something else to note, the worlds look a lot bigger I mean, we only see this one world, but look how like vast it looks already. We don't know if like this is going to be explorable. It could just be like invisible walled, like KH2 did a lot. Like say the Lingering Sentiment battlefield where Terra is at, you kind of can't really go out of bounds there, even though it looks gigantic. So they could pull that, but I'm not sure exactly where in the trailer they kind of like contradict what I said there, but Sora basically jumps down a ravine. Oh, is it here? It's somewhere coming up, but yeah, let's just move on for now. So now they're going to show Sora fighting a bunch of enemies, and once again, auto-target is in this game just like any other, and Sora basically jumps an aerial combo as usual, and from the looks of it, the auto-target swung him backwards, right? Showing that that's the way auto-target still works, and this is a full aerial combo. No scan or anything, we don't know how much damage it did, but it clearly staggered the enemy, which is nice to see, and Sora was able to get the combo out just fine. One thing I'm worried about is the handhelds kind of obsoleted physical attacks in favor of the command deck. Like, in most fights you were spamming commands instead of physical attacks, and this game doesn't have the command deck, so I'm really hoping that these physical combos get modified just like in KH2FM, where you have like aerial spiral, aerial dive, horizontal slash, or on the ground you have like flash step, slide dash, slap shot, so, or like finishing leap. Like all those abilities are really cool to see in original 2FM, or just 2FM in general. So it was kind of sad to see that the BBS and DDD obsoleted those in favor of spamming commands instead of having slow physical hits. So this looks like it's really early in the game, so don't want to overanalyze this and think that that's what the whole game's going to look like in the air, so let's not dwell on that. So that's what they showed there. Don't know where that fire came from, if that was an enemy or not, because if you noticed here, good old Goffy was getting slammed. It looks like it shakes his icon when he gets hit. And like I mentioned earlier, this is where it kind of shows how big this world really is when he jumps off here. This is something like ridiculous to see. One of my favorite parts of the trailer. Like Sora just falling all the way down here. So I really hope, like, this game shows it has flow motion later on, so getting back up there probably wouldn't be a nightmare either. So moving on, we got more enemies. It looks like there's still limits in this, so you'll see that in a second. Also, once again, these enemies are heartless, quite clearly. You see the heartless emblem on these enemies. Not really surprised. So here we got Goffy getting wrecked, I guess, but Sora's about to pop out a limit. We don't, because the command menu doesn't do anything yet, we don't know how he triggered this, but this is quite clearly some kind of Trinity limit-esque attack. I mean, I can't, like, say that with certainty, but that's definitely what it looks like to me. And, yeah, it just looks like it works similarly, I guess. And I'm sorry this is going really slow through the video, but it's the easiest way to analyze it. If we just speed through it, I'll have to keep going backwards. So yeah, there's your standard limit attack, showing it's still very potent against mob fights. That's pretty cool to see. Alright, and now we go to the Rock Titan fight, I guess. Which is the only boss-type fight we've seen in trailers so far, so, this will be pretty interesting to see in the trailer what has changed since last time. Last time we basically saw Sora on a train flying around Rock Titan, which many people didn't get the best impression on. So let's see what they did this time. So the first thing you see is Sora running up this wall towards Rock Titan. And that looks cool to me. That means this fight is likely very not automated, which is cool to see. We don't want like an auto-scroller boss fight. That's not really cool to see in a trailer. And it looks like you're gonna have to dodge these rocks. If it's not automated by like pressing one button, then that looks like it'd be really cool. Really fun to like left, right, kind of dodge the boulders. Notice that Sora took damage here. It didn't show him taking damage, but if that's one boulder, and this is not like the highest difficulty, that's a lot of damage to take, so, you know, that could be pretty cool to see what they come up with later on. So, you know, Sora dodges through all this. Looks pretty cool, running up to Rock Titan. And then we're gonna get to the next part. Alright, here we go. So he finally gets up to Rock Titan, and, you know, quite clearly not an auto-scroller boss, because here we have him kind of emitting a blue trail, which signifies in this trailer that it's flow motion. And let me put this up to normal speed. Quite clearly, that is definitely flow motion, just like in DDD. And it looks like you use it to get to the top of Rock Titan. Which is cool. That means there's different ways to fight him. Whether or not you have to go up there, we don't know. I'm not going to overanalyze that, but it's cool to see you have different ways of interacting with this boss. Let's slow this down a lot, because this is interesting to me. We have a guard again, as usual, and it looks like it works just fine. Unfortunately, in this trailer, they spliced it a little bit, so... Like, it looked like it was chained, but then when you slow it down, you quite clearly see the splice. Right there, guarded it just fine. And then it kind of, like, goes into this. Sora attacks it, hits it. It does, like, some kind of damage. I rant about this a lot with the handhelds, how they don't have bosses that can stagger, but KH, in general, with large bosses, they usually don't stagger, so I can't really nitpick that at all in this. It's something I'm worried about in the series now, because non-staggerable bosses kind of like ruin the point of learning the fights, when you basically randomly get punished for learning how to attack them when they're open, because they're not actually open. So that looks like it probably doesn't apply to this fight, but Rock Titan, slow enemy, doesn't really need to be staggered. So I'm not going to nitpick that. Here we see our first summon in the trailer. Well, likely summon. I don't want to say with certainty, but This very clearly looks like some sort of summon. I'm really interested in how this actually works, because it looks like you can use the summons in various fights, and I'm not sure how they would interact in like every given fight and in like every situation, but right there you use the train summon to attack Titan. It looked maybe it auto-targeted, like there was a target there and that's how it works, but I'd be wondering if it would go like out of bounds if you were in a small area. But you know, I'm not going to talk about his new costume, you know, it looks alright, no big deal. Other parts of the trailer, you saw him have the KH2 costume. Probably either they didn't update the gameplay yet, or it's going to be like KH2, where you start off with like KH2's outfit and then it changes somewhere in the midway. So let's see, now we got new enemies, Dartless again. Let's see what they wanted to show here. So here we have Sora running past these enemies, and now we have him showing using magic, supposedly, some kind of arrow, wind spell. Wasn't really much to show there, but here, okay, this is where it starts getting interesting. Notice how high he jumped first of all. That could imply growth, or it's part of what he's about to do that is triggered and like somewhat automated. Here we see one of the coolest parts of the trailer that people noticed in the original reveal is he can like transform his keyblades into so far guns, but who knows what else it could be. It'd be cool if he can transform into other things maybe, but for now all we see is guns. Like quite clearly these are guns. So that's cool. This can open up a lot of battle options and have like a secondary mode for your Keyblade, basically. So let's see how it works. Basically, you know, you get crosshair, you shoot. It looks like a shot lock. I'm a little bit worried that it's gonna be like exactly like a shot lock, and I'll explain why. Because we see Sora shooting right here, just like normal. Oh, by the way, look at, there's money in orbs and HP orbs, so if you have wondered, those are still in. Not really anything interesting to me. And here we have, like, I guess a second part of it. I don't even know how to explain this. He put the two guns back together, and instead of it being a Keyblade, now it's a bigger gun. It's cool as hell to see. It's really awesome. And he kind of just blasts out an attack there, and it turns into like a Ragnarok attack, or sorry, Infinity if you played 2.5 English. And another interesting thing I noticed about this is it continues. Like, unlike the shot locks in BBS, that would be like an ultimate attack ending if you did it well, or like if you charged it well. And here he's still attacking, so I don't know if it's just multi-part or what, but it looks like it opens up a lot of possibilities. You know, let's watch that, I guess, in real time, because I've been watching this whole thing in slow. So there we go, dual guns, shooting, transforms. I guess to add to this, like, that probably was selectable for him to combine it back into one. I doubt the dual guns only last for like a quarter of a second, so that was cool. They're probably just showing off segments of it. Alright, here we got new enemies again, and they're showing, it's pretty obvious. Sora's kind of just hanging here doing nothing. They're just showing what the enemy does. It's quite obvious. They attacked by throwing out spores, and they're gonna spawn into more enemies. Oh no, more enemies. You know, it's like the angel stars in KH1. You know, you probably deal with them really similarly, I guess. Like, kind of make sure they don't spawn or kill them first. You know, go after the leader right away. Here we see a new spell, right? Well, not a new spell, but we see Sora using arrow in a way that you've never seen before, so it's pretty cool. Is it good? I don't know. It looks really low level here, but like I said, this is early in the game. Not much to go off of. It's just showing battle diversity. I really like that everything that looks like you have all these options, so I really hope they balance it well so that they're not like one OP option to go to every time. So here we go, another summon. Well, likely another summon, and it looks like they can be used like anywhere, which is really interesting. I wonder how it's gonna play out throughout the game. This is just a theory of mine, but it would be really weird if all the summons were only like Disney ride type summons. So it makes me wonder if there's all like, if they're like categorized, I suppose, like you will get like all the Disney rides as like different summons of only those, and then you'll get like an entirely different type of summons. But that's just a theory. So let's move on with the trailer. That looked pretty cool, right? And, oh, here we get to see Sora interacting again with the environment. This looks like actually a little bit less auto-platforming, because it looks like you can control the slope slide here, animation he goes into. And it looks like you can get a really high jump out of that, which is really cool. I like that part. And then here we have, once again, Twilight Town we're seeing from what we saw in the original gameplay trailer. And, okay. Likely was some sort of blizzard spell. I don't know if Flowmotion triggered that or not, because, like, as you can see, he actually goes into Flowmotion on it. Kind of similar to DDD, how you were on, like, rails with Flowmotion and nonsense like that. It seems really cool. Not much to go on here, because we only see one instance of it. Probably many options, but what happens next is actually really cool, so we're going to go over that. Sora jumps up, and as you can see, the Keyblade separated again. It's the guns. So somehow, between sliding on that in Flowmotion and jumping here, he triggered this dual gun weapon again, which implies you can do this mid-fight easily, like almost immediately, which is really cool. And it looks like it might unfortunately just be a Flowmotion attack. There's no crosshairs this time here. So, you know, that's one part of the Flowmotion. What I'm worried about is Flowmotion was really strong in DDD, but you were wide open, so in like higher difficulties, using Flowmotion had to be done very carefully and sparingly, or else you were just gonna get like wrecked during them. So I hope they don't have that same problem. Alright, so here we have, just basically, this is exactly like DDD's as far as I'm concerned, Flowmotion, so they're pretty much just establishing, hey look, Flowmotion's back in. And then there's this. Oh, sorry, not this. This is just another, I think, summon of some kind. Yeah, this party members joining in, which is interesting. Never before seen that, where they both kind of join in and summon. Okay. This is the part I was talking about. This is really weird. That is not the normal Keyblade size, obviously. It's transforming, and I don't know what is going on, if this is a summon or not, but I don't know how to explain it. It's just, it turns into a chariot with a horse, basically. And, yeah, you can do this. It looks cool. I'm not sure exactly why the Keyblade transformed for that, if that's just another summon or what, but it's interesting, and it'll be interesting to see what else they can show. Okay, that's it for the gameplay segment. Let me put it back in real time before I wrap this up. Let's see if I forgot anything. So, you know, we just talked about enemy AIs, the platforming being automatic, which might be bad, but cool that Sora interacts differently with certain elements of platforming. Showed basic combos being there, worried about them not being as strong as KH2. Limits seem to be in here in some form. Whether or not they're called limits, we don't know. It looks like some bosses might have different ways of fighting them, which is cool. We have guard, more summons. Yeah, I didn't really forget anything, I don't think. The worlds are bigger was one of the most exciting parts of the trailer for me. Hopefully we don't get blocked off by invisible walls or forced to go in certain directions constantly. Really cool Keyblade Transformations can add a lot to the gameplay. Hopefully they're not OP though, or else every fight will... Basically, like my last rant, I guess, about this will be, I really hope they do a really good job balancing this. We don't want it to be like the handhelds where you pretty much flock to either spamming one single command or two an entire gameplay if you want to play well, or like spamming shot locks and BBS if you're like a high level. We don't want that. We want it to be like 2FM where it's really well balanced, where at least you have like a bunch of options and there's not usually one OP option, especially at lower levels. There's you have like a bunch of options per fight that aren't like ridiculously strong over the other. So let's hope they do that. I have some high hopes for this. I like this trailer. It showed a lot of insight to what they have so far. So hopefully it turns out well, and this is all I had to really say about the trailer so far. I wasn't gonna go too deep into anything and say something looks like crap. So we'll see what they have to come. So thank you all for watching this, and let me know if you would like me to do analysis trailers of future gameplay trailers, I suppose. See you guys.